Next, take one white suit, a handful of disco moves and a classic Bee Gees soundtrack, and at number 9, you've got one of the greatest dance movies of the 70s.
Saturday Night Fever, I believe, is a very important film. From the moment that film opened, when John Travolta walked down the street with his paint can to Staying Alive, he made walking into a dance.
It's still infectious. It's one of those dances and one of those styles and one of those genres of music that if it comes on, people just start to do this and then they probably stop themselves and they just start again. It's got that about it.
Having made his name in TV sitcoms and musical theatre, the part of Tony Manero was John Travolta's first leading role on the big screen.
Well, John Travolta's got grooves. He just had that soul. John Travolta was the man back in the day.
The way he used his hips, you were transfixed by them.
He'd studied dance since he was young, and he was in Broadway choruses and stuff, you know, so he was a dancer. John Travolta's signature move with the hip thrust. I think what he's saying is, I'm going to make love to all of you. Or, I bet all of you want to make love to me. Oh, man. Are you allowed to say that on television?
Now we have Stephanie Mangano and Tony Manero.
First time I danced with Travolta, I was absolutely terrified because it was like dancing with this gigantic horse, a wild stallion. He brought all his giant Italian macho energy to Tony. The choreography and the music, it's one of those things where everything just clicked. And I think once Travolta, you know, made it cool, boys felt better about dancing. So that's why I think this picture was really important.
At number 6 in our countdown, an 80s movie classic that achieved the impossible. It made welding and leg warmers cool.
Silent tears full of pride.
When Flashdance hit, it was kind of right at the beginning of the dance explosion of the 80s. A great story, based on a true story as well, which is quite astounding, of this young woman, Alex, who is a welder by day and a dancer by night.
The film turned Jennifer Beals into an 80s fashion icon, but in real life she wasn't quite so hot at the dancing. Cue dance double Maureen Jahan.
I was hired to do 40% of the dancing and turned into 99% of the dancing. The first number is all in silhouette, so you never see my face. You really don't see much of Jennifer except close-ups.
And so it was Maureen and not Jennifer who performed one of the most famous dance moments in cinema history.
Now, we never rehearsed it with the water, and so I had no idea what was going to happen. And I reach for the chain, and I look at this bucket of water that's gonna come down, and I pull, and then the weight of the water would... And it felt like I had taken a really bad dive at the bottom of the pool, and when the water goes all the way up, you know, top of your head. And I kept on going.
It was so hot. It was so sexy, but it was still classy at the same time. Pull the water. Amazing.
It's one of those orgasmic moments that you're just like, where's my bucket? How can I pull a chain and get wet?
But for many, the most memorable dance moment from Flashdance came in Alex's final audition.
She had that continuous, like, boom, boom. That was the Flashdance move at the end.
And then, of course, the pirouettes that just seemed to go on forever, like she was about to drill herself through the floor.
This spectacular sequence required 3 different dance doubles.
The last number is all me, except at the end where there are 2 more people. They hire a gymnast, a national gymnast champion. She took off a mini trampoline so you can get a nice up in the air. That's her. And then she lands. And then it's switched to a guy.
Yes, the famous Flashdance backspin was performed by a gentleman known as Crazy Legs, from 80s dance group, the Rocksteady Crew.
If you were to slow down the film at the end, you would see all of a sudden that Jennifer's got huge biceps. But I don't believe he shaved his mustache. I think he kept that.
It's time to reveal the top 5 in our countdown of the nation's favourite dance moments. Number 5 takes us back to 1983 and the first time we ever saw Michael Jackson perform his trademark move.
I remember watching the Motown 25 concert, and Michael Jackson's announced Billie Jean. And, you know, he's got the trilby on, and he's got the one sequin glove, and it's just the most electrifying thing to watch.
He was so in his body, and it was effortless. Like, he just had that groove. We were like, oh my God, that guy could move like nobody else.
And then, in the middle of it, he throws a curveball. Something most of us had never seen, and that was the moonwalk.
The world was stunned. It looked like he was detached from his body. I don't think anybody who ever saw it the first time will ever forget that moment. It was like the first rocket going off into space.
Although the moonwalk will be forever associated with Michael Jackson, he didn't actually invent it. Versions of the move have been captured on film as early as the 1950s.
I've seen it in very old black and white films from years and years ago, and you do see a sort of a moonwalk going on there.
In the early 80s, the moonwalk was a favourite dance move of body poppers, like Shalimar's Jeffrey Daniel.
When I was first doing it on stage, before Michael Jackson started doing it, people were saying, is a rope pulling him? Does he have wheels on his shoe? Did they put oil on the floor? They couldn't work out how I was doing this step. It's like an illusion. It's like a magic trick. And so when people see something that they can't figure out, and, oh my God, how does that happen? How does it do that? Then they're fascinated by it.
Michael Jackson took it and put his spin on it. He made it into this monster, this move that inspired a generation.
Ever since Michael Jackson brought the moonwalk to the masses in 1983, it's been one of the most copied dance moves of all time. But perfecting it is far from easy. So, what's the secret?
So in a moonwalk, it is all about shifting weight at the right time.
This is difficult in heels, yes.
This is how I picture sliding on the moon.
It's all based on heel-toe.
I slide that foot back, and then I swap the weight to my left foot.
And then move the other one back.
And you want your body to continue moving back in one motion like this as your legs are making a transition of pushing back, back, and back.
And nobody does it like Michael Jackson.